Mhm. I'm on here now. Give me a second. There you go. Peace, family. Peace, peace, peace. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? What's going on, family? What's going on? About to get into a little more knowledge today. A little more knowledge. So whatever questions that you can think of, go ahead and pull it up as pertaining to like the consumer law process, administrative process, signatures, like how you properly sign and endorse things. What's going on, Juice Man? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, go. All right, I see it's quite a few people populating. Hope y'all get those questions ready, guys. I got a little energy in me, and I'm ready to go ahead and put it out there as much as I can, anyway. Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. It's not legal advice, not financial advice. Hmm. But we're gonna go ahead and get you guys where you need to be as far as answering these questions. So, how many of you guys understand that you can endorse the offers that you receive in the mail? Offers meaning bills that you receive. Offers being like toll road tickets and stuff like that that you receive. You're able to endorse these things as the agent to the principal. I have a video up right now that speaks about the principal. A video's up that speaks about the beneficiary. And this is primarily what it is that I teach my students about. This is where I lead them to understanding, better methods, understanding policies, understanding how these quote unquote laws only apply to those who do not reserve their rights. Say, if you have time for consultation after the live. Yeah. Yes, I would. All you have to do is send um I'll put it here. I'll put it in the comments so you guys know how to book a consultation. One quick second while I type this up. All right, family? And if you can, just keep hitting that like button for me and let's get some more people in here to answer some more questions so that maybe if it's something that you did not ask, then they'll be able to, come on in. So just typing this up for you guys for the consults. And be sure to leave your number, okay? All right, I got it right there. Oh, thank you. Thank you for hitting those likes. Thank you for hitting those likes. Off subject, but anyone have problems receiving their passport, child support? Oh yeah, that's like a big thing. That's like the major thing to keep you from getting it. That's the major thing to keep you from getting it. What's going on, Mr. Matic? What's going on? I hope that answers your question, brother. What's going on? What's up, cuz? How you doing, Sam?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, Al?
Doing good,
Coach
doing
Brown?
good. Coach. Yeah, somebody sent me a message saying, "Hey, cuzzo." So I want you to think you was just walking up into to something that it wasn't. All right, brother. So what are you thinking today?
I
I'm
did you
thinking a
already
few things.
address the juice man?
Say Juice Man? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
just saw this little question. Yeah.
on the chill, I see CPS stopping the passport. Yeah. I mean, that's just one way to kind of keep you in the confines, but you have to establish what your standing is with that particular agreement that you may or may not have made. So if you correct your stance in it, then you're not going to have any issues. That's going to be with any quote unquote, I would say potential, but any creditor that calls themselves a creditor over you, any corporation, any company, any entity that believes that they are over you in that agreement. So,
With respect to everything in commerce, there's always a trust action, something that is being done in honor or dishonor. Your preference is always honor. That's what resolves your obligation. That is what fulfills the contract or the commercial paper.
got you. You say you don't see the link for a consultation. If you scroll up a little bit, you'll see how to do a consultation. It's like right above Juice Man's one of his posts. So, but if not, you can just message me and I'll let you know what to do. Please let me know how to get the POF in order to close the deal. I believe you're talking about the 1099 process.
Okay.
That's definitely something that we have to discuss offline, brother. That's an absolute must. And that definitely, you're gonna need a consultation for that. Ask them to send me the contract. They still have hasn't. Well, it is all about how you request it. How did you request that they send you a contract? Was there a resolution in there if they did not? Was there a recourse set in place that you could take if they did not do what you requested them to do? How can I contact you by email or phone? I have the email button on my page, and you can send me a message on TikTok, and we can arrange and take care of what you need. Big facts. You say I called in. Okay. Well, yeah, if you called in, all I can truthfully say is good luck with it. With them doing what it is that you're asking, because it's just verbal. They can always say that they didn't talk to you, although it's on a recorded line. That recorded line is for their protection. It is not for your expression. Let's see. Let's get those likes up for me, family, and let's get those questions rolling.
Yes, sir.
Once you understand, get the discussion. We're gonna get the discussion, and then like, what are the biggest issues that you guys are having in, let's say, the administrative process, or are you guys even aware of the administrative process? Because this is what we need as beneficiaries in commerce, as agents in commerce, as executors in commerce, as trustees in commerce, as grantors in commerce. We need to understand this process first and verbatim. Right. So the birth certificate, um, that is a certain type of title, correct?
Hmm? It's a certain type of title, it's a certain type of proceeding because it was created by an action. Something real happened. And then there was paperwork, commercial paper that was submitted that substituted that action or represented that action as the creation of a new construct, the birthing of a vessel for commerce.
It's not a vessel that you may believe, not you, but something attached to you. If you guys know anything about ships, which you should, because you're dealing in maritime, the ship has a name. That's when the ship is birthed. So if your birth certificate is, let's just say for entertainment purposes, it is that of a ship, you can move that ship. You can get cargo on that ship. But who regulates the manifest? Who's able to say who owns what? Or if you're just carrying stuff for someone else, you two have to pay for it. Hope
Don't
that makes sense.
ships don't ships have special cereals like SS Minnow Johnson? If you've ever seen Rush Hour, that SS
Hmm.
sounds like something else you have or may not
Yeah, let
have.
me know. It's some kind of identifying number that's attached with that. Most of the time, you need both of them to get very important things, things that they may or may not want you to have any leverage with. Like I want to say the M word so bad, but you know,
All that is conveyance. There's a security interest for something because you have allowed them to bond
like,
and to cash something of value.
that's right. You have authority. You just gotta apply it properly, whether it be as the agent or if you just want to enjoy it on the ship as a beneficiary. I
Yes.
like being a beneficiary. I like to enjoy things and control things, not necessarily need to deal with all the backhand nuances that may come with it. That's not my job. I'm here to enjoy life. Okay. And I see
Yes,
another one.
but what if you're harmed? What if you are met by brutal force, by pirates? If you're just benefiting, how will you defend yourself?
See that right there is where I have to transform into an agent. That's where I have to assert rights that I was born with. Not necessarily the statutory laws that I know a lot of us like to play with. You just have to express yourself properly. What happened? And how can this be corrected? You have to convey that. And then you hold them to it through an administrative process. And they will not only leave you alone, but you will continue to enjoy your life. I got you. I'll check the email, brother. Okay. You have mine authenticated. That's hey, that's good. That's good you had it authenticated. But you just got to understand and know why you're getting it authenticated. And hopefully in a for entertainment purposes, a non-hate country. Because there are things that you can do with that after you understand the administrative process. Because just having all these nice toys and things like that, if you don't know how to play with them, they kind of just sit there as accolades that you'll never be able to use. I send in an affidavit of truth to child support. They responding with some codes. How do I proceed? Hmm. Well, we definitely have to talk offline. However, if someone sends me something back with codes that don't apply to me, I'm just going to keep on going and pushing my ball forward because I don't have to attest to anything that they say. They have to answer what I say because I brought this claim to them. And in order to have a claim with something, you have to be able to assert something. You have to assert what it is that you're asking. If you're asking them for something and they can't provide it and they give you codes, that just means that they're moving in dishonor. And honorable people don't pay attention to dishonorable people. You keep on moving forward. You didn't answer my question, therefore this is the resolution, and you have X amount of days to give me this resolution. Send that to them. I will soon be 60. I want to enjoy life. Well, ma'am, it seems like you need to come to class. You need to come learn with us. It doesn't. This isn't an extremely long process. It's an unlearn, relearn process for sure. But once you get that down, it's nothing. There's absolutely nothing to learn for 2 or 3 months and then make it happen. So trying to figure out individual and entity. What do you mean? Does an individual actually mean something? You can look it up in Black's Law. An entity actually means something. You can look it up in Black's Law. Preferably the fourth edition. Research is so frustrating. Yes, it is. Everybody always has a different method or a new way. You just have to stick with what makes sense with you, what resonates with you. If getting a whole bunch of paperwork put in places that you still are lost with is not something that, doesn't frustrate you, then try a different approach. Try to understand the administrative process. Learn a new role. Learn the right role, I should say. They didn't respond point by point. Of course. I mean, if they didn't, just I would really have to consult with you and see what you sent first. Because if you didn't give them any resolution, like and then solution, and meaning root. So there wasn't a root solution that you gave to them, then they're gonna continue to do what they want to do with you. This is where competency comes into play. About to download Patreon. Yes, ma'am. And you want the gold membership with us. And that link is in my bio. So you can click on it, become a gold member, and we have all of our old classes on there. We started maybe 3 weeks ago, and you'll be able to go from ground zero all the way up. And we have a village of people in our private Telegram that'll be able to help you out. They're going through the similar process, and it's a beautiful thing watching everybody grow into this knowledge. Says how long for the whole process. That you probably heard this a lot, but that's entirely all up to you. That's all up to you on how long it takes. Like how well are you going to retain the knowledge and put it to good use? They give
Thank you
you
for
all
being
the
present.
info, seems, but you had a well. Oh
Richard,
yeah. Okay. Oh, what did Richard say, brother?
he was just giving a salutation, just returning the gesture.
Yes, sir. Approximately 2 to 3 months. I mean, that's if you're doing the administrative process, that's a little long, but could take up to that amount of time, yes. But if you execute, it's on your timeline. So it's up to you. You are the one who's creating and expressing what it is that you want. So if you express 2 to 3 months, you're giving them unnecessary time to get directly to what you want.
He who brings the claim makes the statement for the confines of battle. You were dueling in Victorian England. You set the stage. You gave them
Exactly.
the
Give me
forearm.
a quick second, Sam.
Yes, sir. To engage you on. In the beginning, it can be frustrating. It can be hard. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of disheartening information as well about improper practice and procedure, and that's not what we advocate. If you are acting in a public manner, you have to understand and comprehend that you do have a civic duty for a utility, because that is what that is. It's a public utility. It is not you. It is a body that moves and has a name that is like yours but apart from yours. Your natural name is a different case. It's phonetically expressed differently, and then there's a historical, uh, biological reference for the way that your natural name may or should be referenced, which we spoke about on our last live. Because by generation, historically, relatively, your natural life began with the family. So you always present the last name first. That is your generation. That is your nobility, your heredity, your proof that you are an heir, that you have a beneficiary interest in the estate of the foreign sighted living being body, outside of court and control tests, which I cover in more depth privately. Yes, it is a vessel. It will part the sea. It can be moored in ports. It can be toting the loads of wares, and gaining profit, gaining spoils from its commencements, but it is not to you. Good engagement. Thank you all for being present. Hit the screen as you're here. If you have questions, whether Coach Brown is here or myself, I'll talk to y'all freely as much as I'm able to. Certain things that obviously can't be said in a public forum, but try to address it privately in a consultation, or give you at least a nudge in the right direction on where you should be studying. Because most of this is not just practice and implement with full success. It is study to comprehend, because there's a language barrier that you may have.
Had to had to take care of a few things in the house. I'm in your group with you and Sam. Thank you, John here from Cali. What's up, John? Yeah, we just spoke with him.
Yes, we just spoke with him. We're living beings. Yes, we do. That is a link that you can provide in Coach Brown's bio on his page. He is more than kind to provide it, and we both teach and implement privately some instructions for competency, giving you
Hmm.
what most people are not interested in doing. Does being born in the DC change anything? No, it does not change your standing. Your legal personality came from your conduct. That is everything that public utility is based upon. It's your conduct, your honor. Yes, exactly. You are freeborn.
Correct.
And we appreciate you and salute all of you for your engagement. Your attention is constructive for us, because it lets us know that we can continue to do what it is we're trying to do. The goal is competency, so that you don't feel like prey. There are predators who nuance their situation based off of your fear and off of your uh, bowing out of your position. But free personality, free standing in any legal, political, social, financial realm comes from combat. You have to be willing to sacrifice energy, not for bloodshed, but for resolution. All we seek is resolution. And we do that by giving it clear instructions.
You're the masters of your own fate. And if you don't place it in these matters, they will decide that for you.
And
And
you
that
may
is,
not like what they do, because they will not handle you with care. They will say, judgment is mine, and I'm going to take some off the top for my troubles.
hmm you benefit not at all with that. Just having collected government benefits in the past, like not at all.
No,
Not at all.
no, it does not. But like any other matter, it's something to be reconciled, because who's received it? Did you, the living being, or did the commercial vessel receive it? Did it attach that cargo to itself? Did it bear that wage, that labor? That's
Mhm.
how you have to comprehend and look at and assess the situation. It is not relative to your uh, physical presence. It is relative to the commercial paper, the
Mhm.
fiction.
You just have to convey it as such.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Who shall
learning
be
the
receiving
language.
it?
Learning the language. That is the key. That is the nuance.
So authentication is not the key. No, hate to
I
be
said
so blunt.
I said language. Authentication is a aspect, but that is for specific functions. And what I'm talking about is public utility. Whether you authenticate something or not doesn't change your civic relationship, because again, that is still based off of your performance, or the lack thereof of performance. You don't do something, there are consequences, but it is a
Mhm.
choice, because you are not a slave. At least I hope you're not operating in that way, not operating under fear, not conceding to force or the threat of force. Then that's a different situation.
Because Because if words can give you the ability to back down, imagine if you had the confidence to stand up for them,
Absolutely.
knowing the outcome, actually having the proper counsel in your corner. So if you even decided to go in there by special appearance, you would have the, how can I say this? You would have the confidence to stand tall. You have the know-how. And that's what we teach. We teach the know-how. So before you want to get out there and start doing a lot of activity, understand, are you doing this activity? Will it be going against you or will it be going for you? Because you not having the ability to enforce it is really pointless. It just makes you feel good to do it and never use it. So learn it, learn the process. I can't stress that enough. Process is the most important part of the kind of life that you guys are wanting to live. That's why you're doing all these things. You're not learning the process of how to express yourself. You're just learning the process of how to do things. That's what society has taught us, to just do things, get inspired by things and do things. But are you inspiring yourself? Are you really bringing it out of your own heart from the Most High or from yourself? For the, I don't want to disrespect anybody who may not have a religious faith, but if you have hmm, the ability to self-improve yourself, go forth
Mm.
and improve yourself and inform yourself. That's why it's information. What information are you putting within yourself? To endorse them to the U.S. Treasury, since all coupon checks, money orders, etc. are.
That is a private affair. But if you understand that much, you understand subrogation, then that may align with one method of performance. So
What's
you
your
may be able to do something with regards to that, but do you have the authority to do that? Because if you don't have the authority, you don't understand why you can do that. What have you just done? Or potentially put yourself in the risk of injury or the threat of, again, that physical violence, uh, theft of your body, your flesh, for a offense that you may not have intended, but will be held accountable for. So don't necessarily advocate for that unless you understand everything that goes into
what that entails?
performance.
Performance is a much better word.
Yes, exactly.
Overstand the information, right? That is correct. That is correct.
Simplify the problem down. Simplify it down to its basic roots. I always like to think in the abstract, so I always assert or bring up the Pythagorean theorem. If you know the problem and there's a necessary and proper effect that you intend for it, the only mediation point, the b squared, that's you. You mediate it. So we mediate any problem that we create by providing the resolution. You cannot make a claim without providing the solution. If you do that ineffectively, you will be laughed at. Your paperwork will be shredded. You can speak up all you want to, but you have no bite to what you are saying. You are seen as infantile as the next person who didn't know any better and was regarded as a privileged party, as someone who was incapable of doing for themselves. It's up to you to demonstrate competency, not for you to say that you're competent. There are many young people who believe that they're grown, but wisdom surely tries them, tests their mettle, and then they quickly defer to what? Practice. And the first practice, the strongest practice that you can have is comprehension. That's what we're talking about, reasoning. I'm not saying run out and do a whole bunch of things. It's reasoning ability. If you have that, you can demonstrate that, you solve a lot of these problems.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Said this lawyer from New York going around on TikTok trying to downplay the sovereign slash state nationals. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, guys.
Yeah.
You know what you know what to do.
Yeah.
Know
As
who
a
you are.
specific title and distinction that is not in alignment with a certain group of people. So, of course, that's going to be something that can be spoken of.
Hmm. Exactly. So how do we make our claims to these lying, conniving, deceitful entities?
Is it a lie, or is it your responsibility to be competent? When you turn a certain age, who says to you, you can drink, or you can contract, or you can go to
Get in the wars,
war?
especially the war part. Who tells you you can do all of these things?
It's comprehension. There's something that's based upon. It's the age of majority. How are you regarded by your peers? By custom, by regularity? How are you regarded by others, and how do you regard yourself? How do you say to the world, Coronation Day, Victorian era, England, that you are ready to commit to the affairs of the state or to your family, to represent the best interests of your family by going out and getting wed, marrying wealth? How do you gain wealth? You marry into it. So how do you marry into wealth? You generate wealth by doing what? You're not generating wealth by working, you're generating wealth by application. You apply yourself to the proper setting.
You can work to your dying days and you'll never be wealthy because there's a cap and there's a wage for it. However, you can acquire, you can build, you can comprehend, and you can move things in your favor through proper conveyance, with proper resolution. It's wealth in everything you're already attached to outside of your wage. Just got to know how to play it. Not even necessarily to play it, you have to know how to apply it. Apply what your will is with these things that you already have.
Yes. So everything else is abandonment. It's voluntary. And those that volunteer are not worthy of their hire because you forfeit equity. You say in commerce that you are unfit to be paid and that you are held liable for everything that you do with no recourse. Weren't privy to it to a degree. It's definitely in degrees. Everything is freely available.
That's the conception.
It's conception. You know, there's a lot of, oh well, we're being wronged, we're being harmed. Are you being harmed? Because there's still a standard of care. It's because they're not telling you about it. Maybe it's because they think that they're better than you. And how do you break somebody's presumption? Someone has that mindset. They're bullying you because they see something in you that you haven't summoned within yourself. So if the demonstration or the separation is just competency, just saying, hey, I'm accountable for what I do, for what I provide my namesake for or a namesake for, yes.
There's a standard in prison too. This is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
has to be. It's still gonna control you. I mean, you can be in prison out here.
yeah,
You punching a clock. No disrespect, family. You punching that clock. What makes you any different from someone who's doing it behind bars? It's your understanding of knowing of who you are. So someone said, "How can we begin the process?" Reach out to me. Either get a consult or become a gold student off the
sure.
back.
Yes.
See, these demons are profiting off of people's energy and labor. Couldn't have said it any better. Couldn't have said it any better. Not trying to incite anything in anyone negative, but I mean that's a way to look at it.
It is a matter of perception. Because one of the main misconceptions is consent. What is it that gets you into the position to be in anyone's servitude? It's consent.
Hmm.
You do not know how to govern your affairs and you appeal to others to safeguard you, to clothe you, to give you compensation.
Hmm.
It is a, this is taking the gloves off the, real disclosure. You're getting what you're given and you're accepting that. There isn't any negotiation, and that hurts commerce because everything is negotiable when presented appropriately. And if it's not negotiable, something may be going wrong and there may be remedy because that's an unjust enrichment. But that exists outside of the at law and in the equity.
Hmm. It's a nice hat, Coach. I appreciate you, brother.
Even Rome had a strict standard of order. They held desertion to be the highest offense, and the desertion, the desertion that we hold to the highest offense is the permission for those that are in a position of trust to abuse you, the physical you, not the paperwork, but the physical you. To allow that abuse, that is a abandonment of property. It is a neglect of your duty of care for yourself.
Hmm.
It is.
So good.
So it's understanding what that means for you and what that's relative in your sense of duty or understanding of that public utility. Because if that is Roman driven, then you have to know what a legal personality is, because there were only two distinctions, three really, but only two that mattered to Rome, because it was a conqueror hierarchy, system of conquest was the law of the land, the law of nations. So if the distinguishing factor was that, there was only two civic classes that mattered. You were either free or you were a slave. If you weren't free or a slave, you were an alien, meaning that you were from another nation and you had no say so. You weren't regarded unless you were an ally. If you're not an ally, guess what you are? You're an enemy.
Don't answer. I will contact. I'm asking too much. Hey, come on with it.
Yes.
Come on with it. Gain your knowledge. Then come and apply it. Literally what we're on here for. We're trying to pull out those who want to get where they want to be. So another question I seen. If this isn't the type of government that we subscribe to. Well, in essence, if you don't speak up for yourself, that's exactly what you're subscribing to.
Actually, and here's another thing with that. If you dial it back, were you a party to the birth of this nation? Did you live in that era? Did you breathe the same air? Were you that class of people who deemed themselves to be a specific color? Because that was the class system that they worked under. But before that class system came into fruition through case law, they said that they were of a specific demographic, we the people. If you're not a party to that compact, if you haven't signed a deed and accepted that title, that civic duty, you're not a party to that social covenant. You're not getting any of the benefit or the protection of that system because you're held to be apart from it. You are held to be an alien of that system. If you understand Rome, you can think in the context of Roman speech and action application.
started to notice that school and prison were eerily similar to one another. Same with most jobs. You understand what system you're in. If that's the case, now start to understand how you can express yourself in it. Cops are them, right? They join our enemy. It really, we have to stop looking at the system itself as an enemy because it's not. It's not an enemy. It's how you participate in it. You're more so you're an enemy to self because you're not erecting that divine part of you, not erecting that competent part of you. Because when you put your hand on that, that biblical Bible, when you go, in to testify and things of that nature, regardless of what you believe in, when you go to court, you got to do it. So understand that's where they're deriving a lot of their behavior from. So if you're not trying to be as divine as you need to be within that, which what they subscribe to, they even have it on the dollar bills, regardless of the trust part of it, there's two different viewpoints to that. But you have to understand what this is and who you are. First, who you are is going to come. Then you'll understand what it is, and it's what you see it to be. It's what you create it to be. If you come from that which created all, then why aren't you creating all down here within yourself? You have to express what you desire out of your life, or it will not come to you. The complaining and the bad thoughts and the bad music that you're listening to, all of that stuff you're bringing around your spirit. That's why so many people are distracted. You're entertained, you're entertained. So if you're bringing all of this around yourself, but looking at the government like they're the issue is what you're consuming. The issue is what you're not doing for yourself, you know, if that makes sense, family. But honestly, you have to become what it is that you want to see. You have to change yourself, and then the world will change because you're only gonna be yourself. You can't be everyone else. You can't help those who don't want to help themselves. The only thing we can do is in goodwill and in good faith. You'll catch on to that. In goodwill and in good faith, you'll be able to bring these things to yourself in fellowship. All right? Because you have to give more than what you're receiving. That way it comes in abundance both ways. So you see the channel. I'm giving out a lot of information, a lot of stuff that you would definitely have to pay for anywhere else. But it's not for anything other than for you guys to open your eyes. Maybe see a different outlook on it. Maybe utilize it for your process and take off. You don't even have to say thank you to me. You just continue to do what you need to do for yourself. And we're thankful for one another that we can help one another. And hopefully you can do the same. Because of a broken trust, figuring out what now I'm missing. I got you. I mean, that's what we do every day, trying to find what's missing to make ourselves whole more and more each day. So we have bigger spirits and bigger hearts, greater minds. Don't
If you
forget to hit
haven't
that
done
like
so,
button, family.
what was that?
I
Not
was
trying to
telling them, don't
speak over
forget to hit
both
that
of you.
like button. No.
Yeah,
Go
definitely
ahead.
engage.
Right.
One of the first things to do uh, before anything is learning how to be disciplined, how to apply quiet, solitude within yourself, because you are not imprisoned in this body, you are operating it. So if this is one vehicle, what is your understanding or disagreement with the picture that you're being given of another vehicle outside of yourself that you physically can see made manifest on a document, and it corresponds to every document that you've ever seen since the age of 18? Why or why not see that duality and really make the connection of the operating system and the vehicle? It's your reasoning ability, it's your comprehension of the vessel that gives you the ability to excel and to change your external outcomes. But first and foremost, it's making the space within yourself. So it's retraining how you study, how you look at and approach these situations. You become as the child was. You are curious. You are receptive. You don't allow the restriction of your wisdom, which has been mostly domestication, mostly practice and abuse from do as you're told over degrees. It's compelling yourself to make that distinction to get back into your natural state so that you can more quickly process this. There's a social aspect as well, because you learn this better once you've gotten comfortable in solitude. You learn this better when you have that camaraderie, that fellowship that we were talking about, when you're around others. You can do that with books to some degree, but it is much easier with, again, individuals that you look to for guidance, people that have done what you're trying to do. That is the importance or the relationship to mentorship and to teachers. It's why people are called upon with that duty, that responsibility. It's inborn because it's not for the profit. We're not here to make an exuberant amount of money. Don't really care for it, don't really need it. That's just a placeholder for value. Can generate all the debt I want to with credit. But
That's the
that's a
key.
distinction and a choice that you make with regard to your own affairs.
Mm-hmm. The amount of your bonds equate to the socioeconomic status at the time of birth. Oh, most definitely.
There's definitely an accounting, there's a ledger, an interest in your potential action, because it's not the limit, it's just the potential. That's just showing how lean it is if you're not doing anything. If you just sit in that box all your life for 30 years, hey, there's a bond that says this is what you'd quantify without any labor. You go out and you get married, you take on that cargo. Now you have a different quantity that's qualified and sustained by you, by the vessel. And now there's profit, there's wages that are owed to you, to that vessel.
Right. I'm looking at all options completely this time. Yes, I'm telling you, you're not limited to what you first come across. Soak up and absorb as much as you can, of course, but don't get stuck on one method, especially if you can't express yourself with that method. You have to express yourself. They got a song, Express Yourself. That's what you got to do. You got to express yourself. And there's a way to do that on paper.
Raven song, that's a good demonstration of knowledge. That is one way to do that. The other aspect goes from conduct, how you proceed into new business. That conduct will determine how you're regarded for the remainder of your commercial life. So if you're doing things profitably, you're not going to feel like you're under duress. You shouldn't feel like you're under duress because you're seeing the benefit of what you're doing. You're not just engaging in trade and being told what your ledger should be. You are negotiating for that ledger earnestly. You're making it marketable to yourself. Why do business if it's not to your benefit? Why are you hoping to be approved for something? That's just wishful thinking if it's apart from yourself. If you haven't confirmed your own permission, your own freedom of enjoyment.
Mhm.
Exactly. So it's just understanding and applying a new practical relationship to your public utility. So again, that's all it is. It's just one vehicle that gets you what you need, what you
Stop.
want, or the duration of your commercial exam performance.
Just keep filing and fighting for it. You guys got to know the process. Don't have the system looking at you as its opposition. That's what you do not want. You need to know how to do things before you get out there and just start handling stuff that you can't lift. You can't play with cargo if you don't know where it's supposed to go. You know we're in debt and we have a fee. And debt's not a bad thing whatsoever. Debt in the way that we perceive it is one, but debt that you create and enjoy is another.
Mhm. You can always be forgiven on either side. It's just knowing the appropriate action to take with respect to that position. So if it's duality, it's two sides. It's a debtor or a creditor. You should have respect and regard for both positions because you've been one your whole life and probably didn't know that there were other means to perform.
Hmm.
But if you didn't, now you know. And if you know and you have reason to have my attention or to share your attention with me, then that is a respect that you must pay to yourself to investigate further to see that coming into place. Because consumers are meant to enjoy things privately,
Hmm.
and things that are done without informed use or informed consent at the basic level for consumers, for people who have that private enjoyment, concern. You have to understand what you're doing and what business you're operating with respect to the commercial paper you are signing, because you will see that it's actually more than what you thought it was. And if only given a guide, a direction for where it can be deposited, a type of deposit, you'd have the relief, you'd have the closure that you're looking for. That's what we seek. It's not to be harassed, it's to close matters. And you do that by correct engagement, not arguing, not playing on the customer service line and arguing about statutes and codes, because it's great to know that, but the person who is on that phone line is just doing their job and they may know less than you know or knew yesterday. So it's only further enraging the both of you, putting you in a position to not be heard by the executive that it actually has the capacity to fix the affair, because they just sit and they look.
Hmm.
Because if you didn't know that,
It's just like you.
they keep a record when you say specific things. Oh, hey, what did they reference? Okay, let's see what they come up with.
Hmm.
Oh,
Apply a little more pressure.
all they did was just blow up our phone line. Didn't send any paperwork. Oh, they don't. They're not serious. Hit them over the head.
They will too. They will rock your world. They will rock your world. I've seen it happen quite a few times. When I first got into it, not knowing the administrative process, I was actually evicted from like an early apartment of mine trying to do a remittance. Um, I just put the stamp on it for entertainment purposes only, and I actually went to court for that. And once I got there, only thing I knew was that I gave them a remittance, you know, and I wasn't able to stand on it. I didn't know how to convey that, and I answered to a commercial vessel. I wasn't representing anything. I was there as, you know, I was there as the vessel. So they taught me a lesson I never forget, and that's a mistake that I will never make ever again. But even with knowing that, I was able to pull myself out of it, learned this administrative process, and hey, I'm back in the game, more aware. And sometimes it takes you falling on your face, but I mean, with our village, you don't have to fall on your face. You can go in competent. You can come in as the individual role that you need to play for that matter, whether it be agent, whether it be beneficiary, whether it be anything else. That's however you want to approach that. I'm afraid to start an account with the U.S. Treasury website because they want you to choose an entity. Hey, on stage, you gotta dig deep. You gotta do your research. If you're ready to handle something like that, you need to be ready to handle something like that. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, don't just go out there and just start doing stuff because it sounds nice. Everything sounds nice when presented the proper way. You hear that in music every day. All of this sounds nice, but how's your spirit reacting to it? How's your life unfolding in your favor while you're doing these things? Telling you, inform yourself. That's why I'm reading. That's right. Read it and understand as much as you can. Me personally, I would much rather have learned from someone that had already gone through it and actually had a good heart. It's just easier when you have a guide because you can know what you know, learn what you need to learn, and then hey, it's on from there. I lost everything homeless in a trap house. Yes, sir. Not laughing at that is just I understand, man. Believe me, I do. My spirit is unfolding like in amazing ways lately. Cause in point C, you guys. Amen. Appreciate that.
Yes, that is actually true. You may get help from trustees if you're in comity. If you understand what comity is, you understand your position with respect to them. You are establishing that you are not an enemy, but an ally. I know what the game is, but I am no longer being extorted. I'm here to play. I'm actually here to correctly administer these affairs.
And they respect that a lot more.
Mhm. Honestly, because there's no backhandedness to it. It's not I need to sneak and hurry up and send all this stuff out, and they're not going to know about. They know about it. As soon as you start filing this paperwork, who do you think is going to? Who's keeping this registry and seeing what's going to come of it? It's going to be the trustees. It's going to be, you know, Big Brother, as it may be called or referred to. But it's the regard that you have for your position. Is are you trying to get a privilege without providing your responsibilities to that utility, or are you incongruence, or are you on the other side of it altogether and just privately operating? You're not seeing any privilege, any benefit. You are just completely detached. You are off grid, doing the damn thing. All regard to you if you so choose to do that. Me, I don't personally like furnishing in that way, but you can. It's your prerogative. That's the choice. How you choose to play.
Hmm.
So yes, trust law, and what supersedes trust law would be a state law because it's the law of the land. What preceded that? Law of nations. So what is preceding that? Commerce. What preceded that? Biblical. And what preceded that? Providence. What preceded that? Abstract. You want to get to the abstract, you have to understand the lesser chains. See the lesser so that you understand the higher forms. Then it becomes just pattern recognition.
Yep. Top notch minds get the most, not the lesser.
Yes.
Say it like that. Because you'll only play at a certain level. You won't allow yourself to be dragged anywhere else.
Yes. They are a separate set of trustees from the federal. There are many sides. There are also private companies that have those, and they are held in securities in different public forms because they cannot invest without disclosure. Have you received disclosure? Probably not. Do you need it? Probably, if you're going to handle your affairs appropriately, but how do you get access to that? You have to first comprehend what it is, how it can be applied or collapsed, and what the appropriate action is for it, because there's still going to be an assessment for that. And are you
Mm.
tax liable or is someone else tax liable? Do you concede, to the authority of someone else, or do you accept the ability to resolve the problem that you've presented by making a claim? That's the distinction. That's the duality. That's the level playing field.
Right. Don't no one ever told us because it was our choice to study. Always is. Instead of listening
Yes.
to music, study.
Mhm. Abundantly so. There's many get rich quick schemes. There's many different ways to succeed. You can use your body, you can use your natural gifts, but few people appreciate the gift of your spirit, which is your reasoning ability, your personality. You're going to find your nuance, and ultimately, whatever spoke to you, drew your attention to us, to this topic, whether you've been studying for a year, 7 years, 9 years, 20 years. We've met and interacted with people who are at all different levels. It's still going to be the same expectation. If you're here, have you succeeded already? Or if you haven't succeeded already, you know, it's speaking to us, helping you to clarify what you may have been missing. You're going to catch several different things that I may talk about at different points in time, and it's going to be for different listeners. Sometimes I throw out stuff for basic level. Sometimes I throw out more advanced things, and it's like, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Let me go read this or make reference to that. Ah, that hit home. Or maybe you didn't clarify something for me. Are you trying to be encoded? Are you trying to stimulate thought instead of actually giving the answer? It's much simpler than that. And when you know something intimately, you know it really well, like you can speak it as easily as you're thinking it up. That's what we want, and that's really the benefit of learning with us. Because I don't sell myself to be all knowing, because I'm not that, but I can tailor my position with respect to any situation because I have the competency to honor and accept what I'm being presented for public purposes only. Because again, private is different operation, different mindset.
Mhm. That is literally a major key right there, guys. It's all about tailoring what you already do know, especially if you can express it properly. Just understanding how to express properly with what you know, with what you're learning, makes all the difference. Even if you can't articulate it, if you can write it down and express it that way, that's fantastic. If you can be resourceful as you're writing these things and getting them together, that's a great thing too. You have the capability to express yourself more profoundly than probably Sam and I on paper. And if you're capable of doing that, that is how you're communicating with these entities in their current forms, like in their dead states. I mean, you're writing in black and you have it on paper. It's all dead. They want to summon you. So how about you summon something out of yourself to them and maintain your standing? Don't even have to maintain it. Express yourself past them. Like, okay, I'll accept if blah 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 blah. They don't want to answer your blah blah blah. Okay, well since you didn't answer blah blah blah, there's a resolution there. You're gonna do that. Oh, you want to do that? Okay, cool. This is your final notice. You don't respond to that? Okay, cool. There's a step there for you to get your resolution. That's what a lot of people aren't comprehending in this space is that you are the remedy. You are the resolution. You just have to continue forth with Thy's will. You have to. I mean, if you don't, you're just going to be upset saying what they didn't do. You don't want them really to do anything but what you say. So if they don't do it, they're going to do what you said. It may not be them, it may be someone over them. Big
I
Brother's
wouldn't.
always watching.
I wouldn't even say that we're that. I wouldn't say that we're the collector. We are just the enforcer because we're
Hmm.
giving. If you're acting in Roman equity, you're giving rights, and that's everything for judicial proceeding. Because if you didn't know, you have the power of Congress and acts that you distinguish on the behalf of your utility when you apply yourself correctly. That's case law. That's at law and that dual jurisdiction under uniform code because it's replacing something that was lost. So anything that's lost, you still have ownership of it. If you revest yourself, you get the equity. If you haven't revested yourself, well, it's being held somewhere.
Hmm.
Exactly. Good input, Raven Song.
Are you the sole owner and beneficiary of and over
Yes.
the estate?
But again, it's knowing the respect for which position you are acting in so you can be honorable. Because we are not going to mix metaphors. You don't want to do what a beneficiary would do when you have a duty as an agent with respect to a matter. Because the business must be settled first before you get to enjoy your privacy. So if you haven't settled your affairs, you haven't handled business, of course you're being injured. Of course you're being solicited for more energy. You haven't set ground rules. You haven't said, hey, don't call me after 8. It's not how I do business.
Exactly.
It's,
We got us a code in here. It's good to know those.
it's an important code. It's a good reference point. That's an operation of law, of public policy. But is that for you or is it for the vessel? It's for the vessel. So how do you distinguish you from the vessel with respect to those, respect to that code? It's not by using the code, it's by demonstrating the code because it's universal. There's uniformity in custom. There's an overarching premise with that because you don't want to infringe on something you're not a party to. Again, going back to what I said earlier, if you weren't here and present, there's social covenants, there's unwritten laws, agreements, contracts that were sworn to. Have you sworn to be a statutory citizen? Because if you have, then you're just privileged and you must abide in compliance with that position. If you are not that, you can receive the enjoyment of your privacy by honoring the operation of law, by respecting and regarding the uniformity and custom without foregoing your rights. It's distinguishing yourself from that, but still having the regard for the obligation of that utility. Because the obligation resides with your utility until you distinguish otherwise. How does it get to Big Brother? Big Brother's not just saying, hey, I'm accepting everything. You have to do something. There is a demonstration, there's an energy exchange, must be seen to be applied because guess what? The government has strict rules for how they do things. A little bit at a time in different areas, they've gotten a little bit more reach, but guess what? They're still bound by very specific rules. So, how do they get more reach? There's concession. And who are they getting the concession from? They're not getting the concession from the paperwork, they're getting the concession from you.
Hmm.
The only way to right that perceived wrong is to actually speak up for yourself. It's expression because it goes both ways. You are the balancing act. It is chess. You must know how to maneuver correctly. Which piece is the strongest piece on the board? Some think it's the queen, some think it's a rook. I'd say it's the pawn because the pawn has a clear purpose. Because the pawn is a utility of a higher agency. And what's the higher agency that the pawn is representing? You, the player.
Must maneuver your ship. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, you're okay, chess master over there.
Damn.
Yeah, it is. As you reside where? I'm getting a little bit off topic, but that's more esoteric for the people who have that
You
understanding
gonna
where they
you gonna you
reside.
gonna drop the ethereal on them for where they reside? I'm gonna put my hat down.
No, I'll do that in the privacy of different
That's
forum,
okay. It's
our
all
forum.
good. It's all good. It's okay to drop that jewel, you know. I mean, they already know it. They just this is where awareness comes into play, and just leave it there, you know, because you gotta sleep. You're gonna go somewhere. Where do you go? What would some people call it?
I'd say heaven. That's what I
That's where you
imagine,
reside.
at least. That's what I imagine. Creative
Hmm.
energy returns to generative,
It's
constructive, incorporeal. Some would call it a soul. It's the venture point.
no one
Yes.
can say otherwise. True expression is powerful because you are. You are. And it's not a game, it is life.
Well, it's kind of like a game. We like to simplify it so that you enjoy it because it shouldn't be afraid of it. It shouldn't be warfare. It shouldn't be bloodshed.
Hmm.
They, there's individuals who make it to be that, and that's a product of that duality of seeing it as that retaliation act. But you can reconcile that with the authority that you have that's inborn within you because you are freeborn. You are freely
So
birthed
they so
first.
they say.
Hmm?
You freeborn?
Absolutely.
They stole our souls at birth with their soul. You still have it, family. It's just how you're applying it. They just taught you to apply it one way. And it was up to you to apply it to your benefit. Apply it to the benefit of the source with what you came. Like that's that's how I approach life. And it's been working very well for me.
Yes.
A living soul at that, most definitely.
Shalom.
Shalom.
All peace to you. They do not, unless you consent, unless you concede. If you want to be a slave, hey, that is your private business, but do that elsewhere. We are not advocating for anyone to be underneath any type of construct.
Hmm.
It is not natural, it is artificial. Even the Romans knew that it was an artificial institution. They just construed it as a concession to their honor, because they felt that as conquerors, if you were unwilling to protect yourself, to defend your honor, your right of freedom, you were a coward and you were unfit to lead yourself. And it was a privilege to serve someone with higher regard for themselves. That's
Hmm.
how a conqueror thinks. So it's not personifying that. We're getting past that, but you have to see both sides of it to exist in cohesion with yourself. Reconciling that retaliatory side of aggression and the
You done? You done?
student and the teacher aspect of yourself
Save some live for later
to
for
curb
yourself.
your nature, to give it a channel, a passage. Yes.
Yep. You see that too? Supreme Court ruled that no man is bound by the laws and institutions of his fellow man. He must consent to it.
Yep.
And that's what the masses are doing. They're so afraid of that paperwork and that badge. They serve you.
Yep. If you respect the position of yourself.
And non-combative, non-belligerent, non-adverse. If you can move that way, you'll be all right. You don't have to be yelling and screaming.
Mm-mm.
You
You
don't.
should not.
Mhm.
You
And if
should
they offer
listen
you
and
something,
observe.
sign it properly. Yeah, exactly.
Listen and observe.
Even put a smile on it. Okay. I'm not gonna say okay, but it's smile. I don't consent. Yeah, don't argue with them. No. Oop. The greatest practice is not to even argue amongst ourselves. Say it out loud with paperwork. Yeah, I mean, let's just say for entertainment purposes, you get pulled over and they offer you a contract. There's a way for you to handle that contract and reserve your rights. You don't have to cons not consent by not signing because they may put you in a compromising position. However, you can accept something a certain way that so that when it's brought across a magistrate's desk, they're gonna move right past it. Like, don't even bother that person. Funny that we always have to act in honor, but they don't. Of course. I mean, that's the whole intention is to get you to consent. And they're trained that way. And it's not necessarily their fault. It is just the path that they chose to take. And a lot of people just work. And the only form of enjoyment that they're going to get is if they have power over another entity. You just can't allow them to have that power. You should be at peace with your lives, I hope, to know that peace. Hey, come on board, brother. Come on board. Come learn it. Come learn it with us. And it's more, it's way easier than you think. Because you become peaceful when you know peace, when you earn peace. I mean, we all really earn it at birth, but it's like you have to earn it after the age of majority because you have to be competent. You have to. You can go to as many colleges as you like, but at the end of the day, you're doing that for something. Most of the time, it's not for yourself. I mean, if you just most of the time.
Do I know how to, Anthony? Yes. Would I do that? Not for my needs. So I generate new revenue. So no, I wouldn't cash out on it because where would you put it? And who may be the pirate that gets access to it if you disappear into the darkness? You have all that treasure just floating out on the water and think that something's not gonna
Not gonna
be in
take
your
place.
way.
That's how you just leverage it. You
Yeah,
commercial paper family. So education, what it
a
is.
little bit more. How do we learn? Just reading. First thing to read, honestly, the main source book. You're gonna work retroactively backward, but public source book would be code. So starting with the U.S. codes for public policy, and then looking at case law, looking at history. Because I look at and I teach from a historical perspective, see the cause and effect. Why are we here? I start back with Rome for the perspective of teaching this aspect. Because again, there's still reference to Rome, but it begins much earlier than that. I can talk about it from the canon as well, the ecclesiastical law, the hierarchy, which is really under ecclesiastical law, the power of the priest. What is their responsibility? The duty and care of the sovereignty of providence, which is God, the Father, that is beyond the secular power of supposed kings and nations.
Mhm.
There's a lot of depth with how things are and overlap and coincide, and it's seeing that and developing that. But first, it's starting where you are. If you've been operating as a consumer, it's reading the consumer protection rights and understanding the remedy and the liability for parties that infringe on consumers. What was 15 USC 1619? Congressional findings about the informed use of credit. What was the Fair Debt Collections uh, Act? Those are the basic primers for reading and understanding different relationships of the consumer. Then once you get grounded in that, reading your own state of legislation, public policy, and seeing how it applies to you. And once you have a grasp of that, seeing the federal. And once you get a grasp of that, going back and coinciding case law that overlaps at the state level and at the federal level. And then you have to go back and look at the historical When did it happen first, or what has supremacy? What is relative and what's not relative? What is changing that or not making one thing relative to how you move and operate? Because if you think the Constitution is for you, it's for a specific class of people that are not representing themselves. So you have to understand what would make that not be the case, which I won't elaborate too much because it's a public forum, but privately we can disclose that, talk about that, flesh it out for you. But it's just breaking it down to the basics. Where are you operating? So if you're
Because
a
we definitely
consumer,
want you to pull it out of yourself.
yep, start there. Then once you've gravitated beyond that, you'll know that you might be a merchant. And if you gravitated past that, you know that you might be a financial institution, which might mean that you have the powers and the responsibilities of a bank or a fiduciary for a bank.
Which is what we hear you guys ask a lot about. It's levels to it. We just, I speak on a little bit of all levels, but we bring it
Polo,
back down.
it can be, but again, that's a social covenant. Were you a party at birth to that system, to that social covenant? Were you rubbing shoulders with the patriots? So how do you confirm that? How do you prove that? You assert that by what? Your honor.
Mhm. That's how it goes, family. Yeah, I just caught that reading it last night. Yep.
It is very important that y'all understand the basic premise of everything, because the unwritten law is what came first, and the unwritten law was the custom of the land. So, what land are you in? Land is territorial, so that meant law of nations. What superseded the law of nations? Canon. And what preceded that? Abstract, nature. And nature was not what? Biased. Nature gave everyone a allodial title, said, "You are the seed of the land. Be fruitful, generate, demonstrate your remarkable gifted nature by being creative, by creating new space with what is already presented to you." That's our duty and our responsibility for ourselves and for our family. Point blank, period. But I've been on here for a certain amount of time. Unfortunately, brother, shalom to everyone. Peace. You can reach out to me or Alvin if you're entertaining staying on here. I appreciate all of y'all for the attention y'all paid to this. Hope you have some reading points, a little bit more clarity. If you want to talk privately, you can always consult with us. We only ask that you pledge your attention and your energy. Any financial aspect is not really for us, again, to enrich ourselves. It's purely to show that you quantify our time, because we take our time very seriously. So, peace and love to y'all.
Peace and love, brother. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
All right, what we got here? I'll kick it on here for another 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, to change your whole life and what you know. Come back here. You guys are busting them out. If they ask for signature, you don't sign it, you still print. Oh yeah, you want to always properly autograph it and in a capacity to where they know you're either under duress or you're reserving rights. Either way it goes, they understand that this applies to this particular living soul. So if you can convey a living soul with the signature, you're kind of a little bit ahead of the game. But you very soon. All right now, I'll be here. You know where to find me at this point. With our average judge in any given jurisdiction, do you think that they're capable of moderating? You think that the judges are capable of moderating? I mean, I'm sure that they are. Can you teach me how to pay off debt with the birth certificate? That is something you have to come to class for. Like that is like a college level type of ordeal there. And I did speak on it, on my TikToks and stuff, but more so to inspire to know that you guys have value already. If that's a level that you can get to. And I hope that you get to, but you can't start up there. You can't start up there. There's been there's not been a judicial court in the United States of America since 1872. Then I see 1871. I hear you. However, they still conduct themselves that way with the ignorant or with the incompetent. I mean, ignorant is just not knowing. One of the classes, we do them every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. When I'll say you are dealing with administrators. That's right. That's what for entertainment purposes, that is what judges are. They're administrators in a fiduciary capacity in a trust action. And if you're a beneficiary, you can only benefit from each action. Let the administrators, the executors, the fiduciaries do what they need to do on behalf. Stay out of their way. Just reserve your rights. Right. How do we join your 6 o'clock classes? You become a gold member on Patreon. The link is in my bio. Become a gold member, you get access to all our older classes that we've done. I think we've up to 4 or 5 classes now. And every Wednesday, we're on doing more classes, making sure you guys got the administrative process down. You do mock affidavits, you send them to us, we dissect it for you, we send it back to you. We have tests that you guys could take. We pass those tests. We'll bless you with walking you through one of your obligations so that you may now be in proper standing with that particular obligation so that you can do all your other obligations that way and work your way up to private banking. Raven song is going off in there. This brother is a sound of mine. I would like to create examples of this, or concrete examples of this. What do you mean? Concrete examples of what? I'm guessing you mean proof. Me showing you my proof, you must be a student. You must be a student. Because even if you put proof out there, that makes you a target. You have to understand that, family. You are not to be, how can I say, convinced of anything. You cannot be convinced of anything. If you believe something can work, you work on it until it works. Really, it's just a free for all. Good evening to you too, family. It's just a free for all. Got about 10 more minutes in here. I'm gonna go ahead and bump it back up because I see people coming in. Can't mix public and private. You cannot. My private affairs cannot be public for you guys to ridicule. The fact that I'm able to speak what I'm speaking, and as well as have the students that I have, and their results are fantastic. I'm sound enough. Sound enough knowing that I'm making a true difference so that they can be teachers and I can step out of the way. Yes, I'm a student, but I'm very skeptical about everything. Well, I hope that you can stop becoming skeptical of things and start understanding things. You got this, family. Don't be skeptical because that keeps you away. And that keeps you away from what you're trying to receive. You know you want something a different way. You need to go for it until you obtain it. And then you'll understand when someone asks you for yours, you're going to tell them to go and work hard until they get it. You're not here to prove anything to anyone but yourself. All right. If you're a student, only if you're a student and you did it, I'm looking forward to your results. But you have to know the process. I just came across your last video. Looking forward to learning more. Fantastic, family. Fantastic. I didn't get a chance to post it today. I take care of a few things, but I definitely will be posting something else tomorrow morning. Most definitely. I hope you guys enjoy it. Really, I just right now what I'm doing on these is just making sure that you guys understand the roles. So I start off with the beneficiary, and then I have to remember what the other one was. But I'm just letting you know what the roles are. It was the beneficiary, then the principal, just so that you know what the differences are. I think tomorrow I'll do the agent, so you understand what the agent is. And then I'll speak on fiduciaries, then trust actions, because a lot of us don't understand the basic concepts, yet we're out here trying to cash in birth certificates. That is so scary. Please don't do that without having basic understanding of concepts. You're playing in water that you're not ready to play in. Oh, congratulations, man. Hey, send me a plate. Send me a plate, man. You still have to choose individual or entity to start the U.S. Treasury account. Hey, guys, become a part of the village. What do I need to do to get some dealerships to accept forms? I really do appreciate your knowledge. I mean, if you know how to fill out your side of the forms and you're able to convey it to them, it's like one out of maybe 100 dealerships are gonna rock with you that way. You have to come at them a certain way. You really do. No problem, no problem. Just looking forward to see what you have to say. I've never heard anyone speak about this. Hey, I mean, I live it. I live it. It's not anything to entice or pull anything in or out of anybody. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this. I do it every single day. Learning, applying, doing things that, you know, brings out that energy in me. That's why I love teaching. What is the cost of a full package, brother? I feel we could really try the paper if you feel. The cost to become a student on the Patreon is $250. You pledge $250 for that, and we walk you through everything that you need to know on the administrative process, and then we can get you into all the other processes that so many people want to know without doing the work. Yep, get the Patreon app now for your link to join the class. Yep, yes. I think I got the remittance process down. Yes, sir. Proud. I'm proud. Keep at it, and if you can teach others, I encourage you to do so. I truthfully do. I just want to arm everyone who wants to learn to go out there in these waters and moor the seas properly, because that's really the key. You don't have to do all these other things. Although I'm very well versed in them, they are not going to be effective. You're selling time. Who has ever done that? So many people. People work for time. Companies sell time. I got misled a few times, and I need the lines more clear, and I feel your intent. Well, I'm glad, family. That's real too. You're saving time. That's right. For those who want to live like those that they see, it's only right that you have equity in between so that you guys can both build and grow effectively with that exchange. You want to have a fair exchange with anyone. Rolex. So how do we get these corporations to surrender the positive credit on those bills they send to us? That's your administrative process, and they're not surrendering anything. You're applying something to something in a proper capacity. Everybody wins as they should. They're providing you a service. You need to apply something. You've already applied for the application. One second, family. On the way. Banging that door out. Hey, princess.
Thank you. Hello. Oh, I'm spinning.
Very. Go. Signature on the app is sufficient. Thank you, Polo. Thank you, Polo. Yes, it is. And that's what brought it forth. That's what brought it forth. That's what gave you the service in the first place. That's how they know what vessel gets to manifest. Now it's your job to sign off on what the manifest receives properly. the companies are double dipping when you send them that check. Triple dipping, honestly. Sign the contract, then you send them Federal Reserve notes. Then they claim your abandoned property that they send you an interest each month that you didn't endorse properly. Hopefully that wakes a couple of you guys up. That's why the basics are so important. You understand the basics, they can't play. They can't play with you. If you know the basics and fundamentals of any sport, it's hard for anyone to really outdo you. That's what made Kobe so great. He focused on those fundamentals very well. Something as simple as a free throw, as a dribble, as a spin, as defense. He did that more than most. And me and Sam study more than most. We apply these methods more than most to make sure that we stay abreast of how they take to certain things. And then we teach our students, and then they do the same thing, and then we grow as a village, soon to be a nation, then a private nation with private bankers. These banks are supposed to send us a 1099 INT for every year. Yes, but if you don't request it, they don't have to send you anything. They're supposed to do a lot of things. No, hey, you're correct. You can request certain forms, but they may not want to give them to you. But if you don't know the administrative process, you can't have a resolution for what it is that you're expressing. So what does the 250 cover? All right. Let me just pull it up here, guys. Because if you go to the website, you'll see it. But I do understand the questions. Application settings, membership. All right, let's go to the gold. All right, so you get the complete post archive, general support, early ticket access, video tutorials and lessons, digital ebooks or publications, exclusive content. You get a phone call with Sam and I. You get a private community, and you also get recordings of previous lessons, as well as having a current lesson every week at 6 p.m. Central Time, live on Zoom. That's what you get, family. And you'll see us there, rocking it out, working with the students in the private community. You guys working with one another, practicing, creating these things that you need to create, learning how to create claims and push your claims through properly. I mean, this stuff definitely should have been taught in schools, so we got to create our own, and we got to educate our own. True or false, family? Don't educate our own. You're not gonna have anything. It's definitely I'm not gonna say that it's lonely, but it's when you see so much turmoil and you know all you gotta do is drop a few jewels, drop a few nuggets, maybe help a few individuals that want to get somewhere to where they need to be. You've done your job out here. You help more than one person in this world become better. You've done your job outside of your children and family, because that's fellowship. That's true fellowship. Instead of pointing the finger saying that this isn't true or that's not that, hey, that is what it is. Uh, no one has to prove anything to me other than they're good people. That's it. You're a good person. I know you're gonna have good things coming your way, and I have something great that I can show you. So, though unfortunately, no pun intended. Amen. Polo Max spitting today, y'all. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. Thank you so much. I really hope that you guys are learning and picking this stuff up. But you guys know where to find me. You know how you can get into this information. You know how you can be guided properly. This is easy stuff. And you see my TikTok, like that stuff's free. I'm giving it to you for free. I'm showing you how to get things. I'm showing you how to get the IRS forms. Ain't nobody telling y'all how to do stuff like that. Chris Hauser, if you guys have heard of him, Chris Hauser, CHRIS, then Hauser, HAUSER. He's actually really good with like the like conditional acceptances and things like that. But there's no but to it. The guy's fantastic. Like he's like one of the guys that I learned what a conditional acceptance was. However, I wouldn't play with conditional acceptances if you don't know the step past it. because a lot of people get caught up sending something out and then not knowing what to do next. And the next thing could be something that you're not ready for. And we prepare you on how to be ready and how to stick to your claim. It's all about sticking to your claim. Yes, he is freaking brilliant. I think he opened up a private bank as well. That's literally why we're taking, bless that man's soul. That's all I can say. Saying they can get money from those accounts. I don't know who this person is. Nobody's been lied to about getting money from anything. You can. I just don't think that that's a good idea if you don't know what you're doing. Gene Keating. Yep. And Keating solid too. Sure is. Well, let the people come in here and say what they got to say. You guys got to understand. You're not gonna make everybody happy when you're doing what you can for people. You can't you can't keep sending out notices to these corporations if you don't know what you're doing. That's right. Patrick Devine. That's the OG. It's the OG. That is the OG. That man was magnificent. He was able to pull directly from his stuff with bankers drafts. I was just like, oh, you if you apply this stuff, it will work. If you apply it properly, it will work. It's a lot of people out there telling you that you can't do something, and the few people that's telling you that you can do something, you look at them like, what do you mean you can do it? I believe I can do it, but what do you mean? Come to class, dude. I mean, I got it all out there. You're not gonna do it wrong. You won't fill out a form wrong with me. I guarantee you that. That's already out there. And if it needs to be updated, I'll put an update on anything that I speak on. Mm-hmm. Perks up has some say, okay, hey, y'all need to follow Polo Max 77 for sure. How long did it take you to understand the administrative process? It took me about 3 months after I really got it down. It took me about 3 months to really get the administrative process down because I buckled down and actually really did it. I really took my time with it. And I did it with I did it with one of my smallest obligations. And once I seen it work at the seed level, hey, I went through everything else and wiped myself clean. So once you wipe yourself clean, you show competency, then you can start to use these other processes. Because when they look at your quote unquote credit report for entertainment purposes only, that is really a financing statement. Truly, it's a financing statement. So if they see that you're handling your affairs in a certain way and you bring a certain process to them in that manner, they're not going to bat an eye at you because you're only going to be talking to the people at the highest levels of the company anyway. Because you don't want to speak to somebody that knows nothing. You want to talk to the highest level guy, and you will talk to the highest level guy because of what you're going to present to him. It's as simple as that. Or you can be sharp enough to get that application and endorse that application correctly, and you're not going to have any issues with that thing becoming a special something. That's just the truth, family. That is just the truth. Give me some hearts if you guys can hear me. I took my earpiece out. Just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Deposit. I hear you. Somebody said it for me. Either speak to the CEO or CFO. But speak to any one of the highest level guys. Because CEO and the CFO usually aren't there, but they got placeholders. And if you do this correctly, you have spoken with them before you got there, and they'll have someone there for you to speak with. That's how you're supposed to conduct business. You don't conduct business going in there begging for anything. You are already supposed to have it and not be denied for anything. So if you understand that, then why are you going in there worrying about some score that you didn't create or give consent for anybody to show? And if you have your affairs in order, Even if they want to run it, you tell them to run it. But guess what? When they ran it, they granted you access to something. And it is your obligation to go in there and get it. Because they're not going to give it to you. They're just going to expect you to do like most of us do and just apply and hope that someone says yes. I like it when I see bills, and I like it when people tell me no, because it gives me something to do. I get to use my administrative process properly and crack some eggs. I don't know about you guys, but I like omelets. No, thank you so much. Thank you. We are all brilliant. We have to just keep taking care of one another. We got to keep taking care of one another. We got to keep on making sure that whatever we can put out, we do put out. Best of our abilities. Because truthfully, at the end of the day, whatever good that you're putting into the world is what you're going to get out of it. And that's just real. Put good into the world. Hold yourself accountable more than you hold others accountable for anything. Can't go in different directions on different levels. Oh, of course, man. For sure. All right, no worries, no worries. I do my best. And I will continue. All right, family. I thoroughly appreciate your attention. I appreciate your time. What's going on, Dwayne? I'm getting ready to get off, D. I got a few more things to take care of. I got one more student I need to help construct something with, and I really don't want to keep them waiting too late. But like I was saying, I'll be doing more lives, guys, and you guys are interested in being students, come on by. And just like I'm doing stuff like this, you guys in the private group will be able to get on your own Zoom calls and knock things out together and, go back and forth. And me and Sam may pop in there. And help you guys out and whatever it is. But all in all, family, like I always say, hope this helps. I love you. Peace.